As we have discussed from time to time, the Anu are a race of extraterrestrial beings that came to your world hundreds of thousands of years ago. And without going too much more deeply into the story than what we have already imparted to you, suffice to say, the Anu, or as many of you refer to them in ancient text as the Anunnaki, were responsible for infusing their genetic material into the naturally evolved hominid species on your planet that you often refer to as Homo erectus and various similar types of early human form. And with the infusion of their DNA into Homo erectus, thus created what you now consider yourselves to be as Homo sapien, human. Now, the second word, Vikwadesh, is a reference to this early hominid form, Homo erectus as you call it. In the ancient tongue, Vikwa means seed. Desh means template. So it is the seed template that was used to create Homo sapien. The initial manifestation in the ancient tongue, Adama, again translated in some of your stories as the idea of Adam. The idea then, as related metaphorically in some of your early literature, your religious literature, your early scrolls and texts, the idea of the creation of the female form by the utilization of the early male form of Adama to create the female representation of the Eva, or Eva, or Eve. The idea being that this represents, no offense, gentlemen, but the Eva represents the first hybridization upgrade of the human form. I know that many of the females in the audience are pleased to hear this. Therefore, with the Adama and the Eva, you then had the basic idea of the male and female human forms. It does not mean that there were not female forms in the Vikwadesh, in the Homo erectus. Just that the way in which the female Homo sapien was created by the Anu utilized the initial template of the Adama to make sure that it would be, as you say in your language, a hybridization upgrade. Now, once that existed, once the human forms existed in what you recognize as your present male and female forms, and the human race began to flourish and replicate and spread, remember that we have told you the story of another parallel Earth reality that destroyed their world, and that the humans on that world became mutated into the form you call the Greys. And because they had mutated in such a way, hybridized themselves in such a way to be able to survive on their destroyed version of Earth, they were no longer able to reproduce. And they knew that they would die out if they did not seek out somehow, somewhere, a viable source of still existing human DNA. They use their advanced technology, as we have told you before, to tunnel into various parallel reality versions of Earth, including yours, to find viable human DNA, to infuse with themselves to create hybrid civilizations that would allow their culture to continue and not die out. But the idea of the early Grey, in a sense, because it was something that was created that changed them into a form that could adapt to their dying world, in a sense, is the first hybrid race. The Greys in the ancient tongue are the Maz-eh. The Maz-eh are what came into your parallel reality and began the hybridization agenda. So the Maz-eh, the Greys, formed the first hybrid race. The first hybridization level or phase that followed the Maz-e, or gray beings, is what we call the Mazani. These are what many people in these encounters have recognized as the tall grays. So they are the next stage of hybridization from the grays that began to incorporate human DNA and allowed them to begin to change to something a little bit closer to resembling the idea of a hybrid that could continue their species. But it still was not sufficient for a number of reasons. But they were the second hybrid race and, in a sense, phase one of the hybridization agenda. After that came our civilization, the Sathani. So we are the third hybrid race. We are representative of a 50-50 balance between the grays, the Maz-e, and the humans on your world and other worlds like yours. We are physically and representationally halfway between the grays and what you consider yourselves to be as Homo sapien. We are here, as you can see, to share information with you because we are family, we are genetically connected. You are in many ways our ancestors, and we are your descendants, and we will get to that point a little bit more deeply in a moment. The next phase is what was called the Shah-Yael. This is something that is a little bit more human in appearance, but still containing various aspects of what you consider to be hybrid beings. They still have much larger eyes than you. They are relatively slender like us, but a little bit more toward the human form that you are familiar with. Now, the Shah-Yael, the fourth hybrid race, act in many ways as guides for the fifth hybrid race, the Yael, who are much more human-like, and that's why they are going to be the first hybrid species of the 5 hybrid races that would have open contact with your civilization. They look more or less human. They may still exhibit a few of the ideas of hybrid traits that would make them a little bit different than what you consider a normal or natural human to look like. But nevertheless, the fourth hybrid race, the Shah-Yael, will act, in a sense, as guides and organizers to help with the agenda of acclimatization for the Yael to be able to interact with your world when open contact begins. So they are working very closely together that way. What follows the Yael is what has been termed the Shah-Lanaya, which in the ancient tongue is the first ones. The first ones being what you typically refer to as the hybrid children that live on the ships that will ultimately be returned to Earth to live among you and begin the process of allowing Earth to blend into and evolve into the sixth hybrid race eventually. This is what we refer to as the next word in the list, the Enani-Ka. Now, we have initially told you that our ancient word for earth is Inani, which basically means the ancestors, but more specifically, it was in its ancient form more Nadea, Enanika, which means the place of the ancient mothers. Again, that's a more literal translation, which has now been condensed over time simply into Ananika, which is the ancestor spirits. But in this case, spirit, not only representing the idea by the word ka of what you consider normal spirit to be, but also the idea of essence. And in this case, a literal reference to DNA. So it is the idea of the ancestor DNA and that which will allow there to be a blending, a harmonization, and a continuing of evolution for Earth to become the sixth hybrid race. Now, we have previously also told you that there would be ultimately a seventh hybrid race that would be a blending of all the other 6. This will be a new type of being that will represent a very different way of existing in physical reality that will exhibit many traits of spirits and other dimensions, will have an interesting expression of power and passion and peace, that will explore and unify many different star systems, many different galaxies in time. So Earth is forming the last foundational component for the seventh hybrid race, which on the list is referred to as Het, or Anu Het, which means they are the conclusion of the cycle, the grand cycle that was begun by the Anunnaki and ends with the Anu Het, and brings forth a new species, as we said, of power, passion, and peace. Now, this all goes toward the understanding of the real transformation that's taking place on your planet. This entire cycle is really what the transformation is all about. This upgrade, this uplift, this ascension into new forms, new expressions of great power and passion and peace and benefit and creativity and unconditional love that can ignite a new wave of experience and a new series of civilizations within your star system, other star systems, and the galaxy and other galaxies. This is the beginning of a new cycle with the Anu Het, a new form of the Anunnaki for a different purpose of expanding creation in a new and unique way, in a much broader way, in a much more expanded way. And this then brings us to be capable this day of explaining to you that in terms of our gifts of sharing information with you, this is the true gift that we bring you. Because by being able to share with you all of these different principles and help you understand the nature and structure of existence in the form that we have expressed it as a type of instruction manual and tool kit that allows you to more easily apply these principles in your physical reality and make the kinds of positive and powerful changes that you wish to make in your lives. The real gift is that because we noticed that your planet was heading down the same path as the alternate Earth that destroyed themselves and turned into the Greys, the Maz-E, the real gift is that in giving you this information, which the other world did not have, the other Earth did not have, with this information, you get to skip all the intervening phases, the Maz-E, the Maz-Ani, the Sasani version of yourselves, the Shayayel, the Yayayel, the Shalanaya. You get to go straight from the idea of being human into being Enani-Ka, the uplifted version of yourselves, skipping over literally thousands of years of necessary evolution. That's the gift that we're actually giving to you by sharing this information with you. To highly accelerate your ability to become the sixth hybrid race without going through what that alternate version of Earth went through in creating or needing to create all those different phases to bring themselves back into balance, back into center. You can skip all of that by applying the information we share with you. That is our gift to you. So, this is, as we have said, the general window of open contact will be sometime, as we read the energy now, between your years of 2025 and 2033. And toward the ending of that window, you will find there will be a high degree of acceleration in the comings and goings of extraterrestrial beings. As we have said, you will be given more information about your true history on Earth, all the way back to Lemurian times, even further back, when there were other civilizations on your planet that you know absolutely nothing about. And from Lemurian into Atlantean times, into Egyptian times, into the idea of what you now consider to be your modern history, many, many bits of information that have been lost to you will be brought back to you by those who have observed your planet for eons and know exactly the history that you have all forgotten. And bringing back that history and changing those history books will allow you to really open up to a bigger understanding of your place in galactic history and how you fit in vibrationally to the idea of creation and what it is you have chosen for yourselves to perpetuate, what it is you have chosen for yourselves to experience, what parts you are playing in this galactic play that you may have forgotten that you chose to play. And as you go through that awakening and begin to experience technological marvels on your planet and begin to move out into the stars, as we have said, you yourselves will then begin to interact with other civilizations that don't know about a lot of these things, and you will become their mentors. You will become their guides. You will get the practice of interacting with other civilizations in a way of having first contact with them in the same way that we have first contact with you and other civilizations. You will become their UFOs. And they will look up into the sky and see your ships, and they will have their discussions and their dialogues about their relationship to you and their relationship to the stars, and you will guide them along this path as we are guiding you, and others came before you, and others came before us. And you will take your place in that.
So can you tell us more about the mantis beings?
They are the overseers of the hybridization program. Because the Greys, at one point, decided that they had to give up their emotionality and become a hive mentality in order to accomplish the task, because it was so large. They knew they needed someone to guide them. And so, in a sense, the mantis beings were, well, I'll use your word, hired to guide them. So the mantis beings are the overseers of the hybridization program.
I see.
They had to give up their emotionality to reclaim their emotionality in the hybrids.
And how are they assisting humanity with that project?
Am I assisting you?
Yes.
Then you know.
Perfect. Thank you.
Because my civilization is one of the hybrid civilizations that resulted from the hybridization agenda.
Okay. Fantastic. Thank you.
We are helping to make sure, of course it's your choice, you do not go down the same path that the Greys went down when they were humans on a parallel Earth where they destroyed their reality.
Got it.
Remember that the Greys are mutated humans. They're not aliens.
Can you give us, I guess, a step-by-step example of what the process might look like of actually becoming, I guess, a caretaker of a hybrid child from when we first meet them to everyday interaction?
At first, these sanctuaries will be somewhat isolated, and only a few humans will be allowed to interact according to the hybrid children's agenda as to what they feel comfortable or important in terms of the way that they should interact with humans at that time. Humans will synchronistically be attracted in small numbers to these sanctuaries, and over time the numbers will grow as humans and hybrids become more comfortable and familiar with one another.
Hybrid children genetically and physiologically equipped to procreate with each other and humans so they can continue to develop newer species from that procreation.
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay. And I also had a question about what they...
One moment. One of the children said, "Is he asking about our sex life?" And I said, "Yes, he is." And they said, "Okay." Do continue.
So I've heard that what the hybrid children consume is like basically raw organic fruit juices or vegetable juices.
For the most part, yes.
And from my understanding, these foods have high biophotonic resonance, yes. And that is what is basically charging their cellular regeneration.
Also, the electromagnetic field, which helps amplify those things within the natural ingredients, yes.
Okay, and isn't it important for individuals like ones that are here to also consume things like that for their own cellular harmonization?
Depends upon the individual. Sometimes they may need other things depending upon their process and their path. In general, though, overall, your species is lightening up and therefore losing the urge to consume things that are of a denser vibration. So eventually, yes. But it doesn't mean you have to force yourself to do that if it's not really comfortable for you yet.
What are the lives of the hybrid children on the ships? Like, how do they spend their day?
Well, they do many different kinds of things. Of course, they are in instruction because, again, they are being taught many different things, not only of your world, but of many other worlds. They are being taught about the universe, but they also play. They also invent their own games. They also interact with many different kinds of beings. They also do their own explorations. They visit other worlds from time to time. They sometimes, again, when appropriate, may spend a little time on your planet, brief periods of time to help them acclimate, but they're not confined to the ships by any means.
Well, how do they get from location to location?
Again, they may be taken on ships.
Okay.
Sometimes they also go through what you would recognize as simulations of other worlds.
So when are the children coming to the planet? Can you reiterate that
again? The strongest window is toward the end of the open contact window, closer to the year of 2033. Okay. But this is not definitive yet, because there are many things that yet need to happen on your planet to determine the exact timing.
So you know how in the abduction phenomenon, people are in a dream state, they seem to go through some sort of physiological translation to be able to go on the ship.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Is that similar to how the hybrid children might drop in periodically and then leave, or is that even happening?
Yes, although their vibrational state contains within it the potential to shift to your vibration a little bit more readily.
And so it's more like a lucid dream reality?
No, it's more solid than that.
It's more solid than that.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, but they have popped in periodically?
Some of them have, and some of them have literally spent time on your planet in those dwellings that are set aside for them to practice living among you. They will, in a sense, play house. Do you understand?
Yes.
They will do many of the things that you do to see how they relate to those things and how they can get used to those things, and then they will make up their own minds as to what is relevant for them to participate in. So when they do join you, you will find that some of them may do some of the same things that you do, and some of them may not do many of those things. You may find hybrid children will simply never watch a TV show with you. You may find that a hybrid child may never eat with you. And some of them will want to eat with you all the time. Some of them will really want to investigate the idea of those TV shows. It depends on the child. It depends on what it is they believe they are getting out of it, what they are learning. So it will take some getting used to on both sides. But they will have their own attractions. They will know what path they need to walk, and it will be a journey that you can all take together that will be very instructional in both directions and will open you up to more understandings and more perspectives of things as you open them up to more understandings and perspectives of things.
It seems like they are growing up in a group setting where they are all with other children, lots of other children, more of a communal
more often
kind
than not,
of environment.
but again, they are sometimes left to their own devices to learn how to function as an individual.
As far as when the hybrid children do come here,
yes.
Are any of these entities, any of these other life forms on our planet going to step up and be teachers to them? Because maybe I have the wrong impression, but I see entities such as the nature spirits and
yes.
That they would, in a way, because they are ancient energy forms, that they might actually come forward and be teachers to the hybrid children.
Yes, this is why it's expressed in the idea that is the story that was created about Willa Chrissing, where the idea of future hybrids constantly interact with nature spirits in different forms. They can perceive them. They have the senses to perceive them, and the nature spirits understand that and present themselves to them. And there can be an exchange of information. It's not just about the nature spirits teaching the hybrids. the hybrids have things to share with the nature spirits as well.
So I think the last thing I wanted to ask about was the sixth hybrid race.
Yes.
Since this planet is so filled with so much life, is there something from all spectrums of life, like the nature spirits and the whales and the dolphins? Are they also a part of the sixth hybrid race?
Well, in a sense, we are being general and specific when we say that, because we're actually talking about the evolution of what you consider to be humanity when we talk about the sixth hybrid race. But again, remember, you're shifting to different versions of Earth in which that already exists and in which all the life on that version of Earth plays a part in harmony with the concept of the evolutionary progression.
For women who have had abortions,
Yes.
are there sometimes hybrid children involved in that?
Sometimes. Usually they will be taken out before that will happen.
So it's not like they're removed energetically at one
They are
level.
removed physically.
And
So in other words, a woman who may find herself unexpectedly pregnant may then suddenly find herself unexpectedly not, because the child has been removed and taken to the ship.
you know, yes, I guess I have heard those scenarios before. It just, one thing that comes to me is there was a movie that was from the 50s, and it was called Children of Village of the Damned.
We understand the context.
And was that like a fear-based, what is this? Why
it was a
was
fear-based
that?
interpretation of someone who actually tapped into the fact that you do have hybrid children. It's just that they then couched it in terms of your 1950s horror movie.
And so probably a lot of people who are hybrid mothers actually saw that when they were children.
Yes.
So it was just part of the process of getting over our fear of these children that are more advanced than us, that seemingly telepathic.
Yes.
And hopefully they won't be mean, right?
They will not. They will not have glowing eyes, and they will not be mean little children. No. That was, again, just the interpretation of the times.
Okay, because it seems like it is reflecting some of the things that humans may have concerns about, with the children, because they're more advanced.
But this is why the program is going at the pace that it's going, so that there is acclimatization, so that you can get used to each other, so that you understand there is nothing to be afraid of, so that you understand that these are your children, they are your family, and you are theirs. And you will have a very different interpretation and a very different experience now in what you call your 21st century.
I started to see like these three beings. They were kind of transparent, and they had like, the big eyes and the big head. But once that happened, I became so fearful, it just completely stopped.
Yes, but you can get used to this knowing that it's your choice too to experience this, because you're part of the agenda that allows you to know that you exist between two worlds.
Yes. Yes. And afterwards, I just started to see a lot of vibrant colors. I started to do things I never thought I could again.
Yes, you'd been upgraded vibrationally. You'd been aligned vibrationally.
So I was wondering, like, who these beings were. What kind of connection do I have with them?
Do you understand the hybridization agenda?
Sort of, yes.
All right. Well, they were quasi-gray beings, but in a slightly altered state, in between your reality and theirs, which is where they brought you. As we often say, many of these encounters happen in a slightly altered vibrational reality other than what you consider to be your physical reality. It still has traits of physicalness, but it's not your particular dimension. Many people are brought there because it's easier to help align people vibrationally in that particular state. So they understood that you needed some alignment. They were willing to help with that because you're part and parcel of their particular project as well.
Okay. So would that mean I would have hybrid children?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Is there a way I could connect with them more?
Yes. Use your imagination. When you think of the idea of hybrid children, how do you feel?
nurturing.
All right. Then anytime you go into a meditative state and allow yourself to express that nurturing energy, that can form a stronger connection for you to any of them.
All right, let's say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, all right. Thank you. I have a question for all of you. Do you have a soul? No. What does he mean by that? Of course we have souls. No. You don't have a soul. You are a soul. So, this perspective can change a lot of things in the way that you experience physical reality because you're creating it. It's a projection of your consciousness. And here, fundamentally, is how you do this. Now imagine, if you will, that you are a soul, an orb of light. So picture this in your mind. You are this sphere, this orb of light. And within it, there are ripples of energy, patterns of energy. Just like dropping a pebble into the pond creates ripples. Imagine ripples in every direction inside this orb of energy, this orb of light. When a soul decides to have a physical experience, this is what happens. These ripples that all are happening inside this sphere of light, this sphere of energy, this sphere of consciousness, all these ripples represent different aspects, different qualities, different attributes of the soul. So when a soul decides to experience a theme in physical terms, some of those ripples, some of those attributes are focused on, and they condense down and down and down in a focus to the center of the orb of light. Now, that doesn't mean the orb disappears. It is still there. Only some of the aspects of it have condensed down into this tiny small bit at the center. You might call it a seed, a hard kernel, like a subatomic particle. And that small crystallized seed at the center of that orb of light is your physical mind. That is how the soul creates its experience of physical reality. It creates a focus, it creates a dream experience within the center of its being, taking some of the qualities, some of the attributes, some of the aspects of its total self, crystallizing them, focusing down into that little center seed, that little center crystal. And that center crystal contains those attributes that represent the theme that that being will explore as a physical being in that physical dream at the center of the soul. So when that life is over, the soul doesn't leave the body. The crystal seed starts to expand again, starts to open up again, starts to soften, and starts to merge back with and into itself as the soul. So that is what death is simply the awakening from the dream state, from the little crystallized seed at the center of the soul. And the idea of the expansion of consciousness overall is what begins that process of opening up. It doesn't mean that just expanding your consciousness means you have to die physically, but the idea is that you open up and you are a little bit like a small open sphere inside the bigger sphere. Not so concentrated, not so crystallized, not so hard, not so focused, so that you have the ability to tap into the vibration of the soul more readily, more easily. And this becomes the relationship between your physical mind and your higher mind, which is the soul, which is that portion of you that is still the sphere of light, the sphere of consciousness, the sphere of energy. That is the higher mind according to the physical kernel at the center, the physical seed. So by allowing yourself to expand a little bit, it's easier for you to, by raising your vibration, expanding that seed in the center, Tap into the communication, the ripples, the information that is always coming to you from the rest of your being, the rest of you as a soul, as a sphere of consciousness, a sphere of light. By opening up a little bit, you then contain the ability within that seed, within the center of that seed, to harbor some of the vibrational frequencies of information that come to you, the messages that come to you from your soul, from the higher mind. So the idea then is that comes in an energy language, as we have said. And that energy language, that energy message from your soul self to the little seed that is more expanded, is translated by that little seed in the center, that little physical mind being in the center, as the sensation called passion, curiosity, love, creativity. And that is when you receive the message from the soul self that whatever contains that passion, whatever contains that excitement, that curiosity, that attraction, that is who you really are. That is your core frequency. That is your core theme. That is your core creativity. It is the next step on your path. And that's why it's so important to act on that passion. Because action, as the little seed, is the language of the physical reality dream. Not words, not thoughts, but actions, physical actions. Let the soul know that there is an echo from the crystal. There is a reaction, a response from the crystal that it heard the message from the soul self and is willing to act on it, willing to be guided by it, willing in that sense to move forward in that way, which then allows the soul to respond to that echo, and then you create that back and forth dialogue between the soul sphere and the crystal seed that is you as a physical mind, as a physical being. Does this make sense? Yes. So again, focusing on yourself as a physical being, saying, I, as a physical human, have a soul, is very different than understanding that you are a soul that is simply having a human experience, that is having a human dream, a physical reality dream. So the idea is to allow yourself to really start opening up and remembering that you never leave spirit. Spirit is your natural state. You haven't left it. Most of you is there right now. All of you is there right now. But you have this little crystalline seed portion of your greater self that is pretending, that is dreaming that it's no longer in spirit. That is what physical reality is. And when you start looking at it from that direction, you start really tapping into your innate self-empowerment, your true nature, your true core essential vibration. And many more things can happen that are more representative of alignment between your physical mind and your higher mind, so that you can really understand you are not a human being physically that has a soul. You do not have a body, and inside the body is your soul. You are a soul, and inside your soul is your body. That's the difference. So, you are a soul, you don't have a soul, you are the soul. We thank you for allowing us to share this perspective with you this day of your time. In return for the gift that you are giving us in allowing us to serve you in this way and share this knowledge, we ask, how may we continue to be of service to you? You may begin with your dialogues and questions.
Aveo Bashar.
Aveo.
I'm a conscious channel. I would like to become a, what is it called? When it's complete in the body?
No. Being a conscious channel is the evolutionary direction.
Okay.
It went from people being unconscious to being more conscious because you're becoming equal and your version of that which you are channeling. You have to understand that the channel before you is not unconscious, he's just conscious in a different way. But a long time ago, channels used to be unconscious because they couldn't understand how they were equal to what they were bringing through. So becoming more conscious is the idea, is the evolutionary path.
What I meant is that I'd like to become a what's it called? Trans channel.
But that's a step backwards.
It is?
Yes, that's what I'm attempting to tell you. Becoming more conscious of what you're bringing through is the evolutionary path forward. Becoming equal to it so that you can just say, oh, I'm getting this now and I'm telling you what I'm getting.
Okay.
Instead of having to get out of the way so much. Because you're becoming more equal to receiving that information, more equal to that vibration. Therefore, you don't have to get out of the way. Now, if you really prefer to get out of the way a little bit, that's fine, but you have to understand what you are experiencing right now with the channel before you is not technically trance channeling. The channel is not in a trance. The channel is in an altered state called gamma. In the brain, it's between 40 and 100 cycles per second. It's a state of higher frequency connection and processing. It's not technically a trance. It's a state of higher association. So you can do many things to get into gamma, and this is, again, why we encourage all of you to act on your passion. Because when you are doing what you love to do, when you are, as you say in your language, in the zone, you go into gamma. You go into the channeling state naturally when you're doing what you love to do and no longer paying attention to the passage of time. You look up and you think, oh, it's been 3 hours. It only felt like 15 minutes to me. That meant you were in a channeling state. And by the way, when it only feels like 15 minutes has passed, you've only aged 15 minutes.
So when I am doing this channeling, it's always very positive experience with positive beings, but when I'm sleeping, I seem to go to very negative planets filled with manipulation.
Well,
and then I had one.
You're working things out. Would you rather work them out in physical reality?
No. I think I'm doing that too, actually.
All right, well then, thank you for working them out in the dream state.
I didn't get my question yet.
Go ahead.
My question is, I had one of these negative experiences that felt negative was I was sleeping in the back of my truck and this energy started vibrating my entire truck and I couldn't sit up, I couldn't get up, and it felt really scary to me.
Sounds exciting.
Was that an ET coming to see me, or
yes,
what was it?
But that's not uncommon for one dimension interacting with another dimension to cause those kinds of frequency vibrations to happen. There's nothing to be afraid of.
Okay.
It's just a natural result of two dimensions intersecting.
Okay, that's what I was hoping for.
All right, well then it's not negative. Don't define it that way.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You are welcome. Pleasant dreams.
Hi, Bashar.
Hi to you. Good day.
I wanted to say thank you to you for your teachings, and also thank you to everybody that's working really hard to hold space for you and your teachings for all of us.
All right.
I wanted to know, when I was a teenager, I had I saw a spaceship. It's a funny story I tell everybody. Did I? Was that real? And
what did it look like?
It was diamond shaped with 4 blue lights.
Yes.
And am I still working with them? Like,
for your entire life, yes.
I know. Can you give me anything, like, can you give me something, like a little nugget? Like, who are they? Should I just let it go, or?
You are, again, part of the hybridization program. There may be other beings on those ships from time to time, but mostly you're interacting with hybrids.
Okay.
The idea, again, I apologize.
I do too.
Follow the formula. Because again, it will reveal what you need to know in perfect timing. Don't worry about who that was. You will find out if you need to find out. Right now, it's just about moving forward with the idea of the energy that encounter represented to you.
Okay.
Putting you in the state that represents a higher frequency.
Okay.
Because anytime you think about that encounter, how do you feel?
Awesome.
There you go. Stay awesome.
Thank you.
Stay in the encounter frequency.
Okay.
And come from that frequency in everything that you do in life.
Thank you. Yes, I love you so much. Thank you.
Oh, I love you so much too.
Hi, Bashar.
Good day.
It's an honor to be here with you.
It is an honor for us as well.
I'll make my question quick because I know. So my question is, I had an interaction with my guides telepathically like 8 years ago, multiple times in a couple months.
Yes.
And then almost 3 years to the day today, they kind of ambushed me at my apartment and they terrified me. And they were there for like 6 hours and cats and then it took me like 2 weeks to get over the fear.
Yes.
And
why were you afraid?
Well, I had a panther show up at my apartment window.
You had a what?
Like a panther or the image of a panther and a house cat
But
and a
don't
lion.
you understand that as a reflection of your own inner power?
Well, I didn't.
Do you now?
More so, yes.
Oh, how do you feel about it now?
Well, now I'm thrilled. The fear's gone, but where'd they go? Now that I'm brave enough to have a conversation.
Would it scare you to know that they're still right here?
Not at all.
All right.
I'm past the fear.
So accept your self-empowerment, accept your own power, and understand that the symbol of the cat is something that can see into other dimensions.
Oh, fantastic. I don't have a crush on you, but I do love you. Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good day. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my love Natalia up there for encouraging me to raise my hand. I did not expect this. This is really awesome. So my first question, or my question would be the difference between free will and is your path laid out before you're here?
Yes. The free will of your spirit, in a sense, arranges certain things. You could call that destiny, but it's just about being you. You are the destiny. In other words, everything that you experience, even with your free will, you're going to experience as this person, this personality, this idea, this path, this unique perspective. So it's a combination of the idea of free will of the spirit, then the free will of the physical being has to go down that hallway because you can't be anything other than what you are, who you are, and so that can feel like a destiny, but you don't think of it that way. You just think of it as, this is who I am. This is me. And so you have free will to be you in whatever way, shape, or form you so desire. You can think of it like a hallway. The hallway is you. You can go down that hallway happy, sad, backwards, forwards, crawling, walking, running, flying, jumping, leaping, look in every door along the way, ignore them all. But you will walk down that hallway because that hallway is you. And you can't do anything but be you. So that's the destiny, is the creation from that sphere of energy we talked about initially, crystallizing down into that seed, that crystalline seed, filled with those particular attributes from the greater sphere that represent the theme that you're exploring, which is usually presented by whatever challenges you face in this life, on this path. So it's a combination of what feels like destiny and free will, but it's still about the free will of the spirit deciding that this is what it wants to experience as a theme. But as the theme, as the experiencer, you have the free will to experience that however you wish. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
You are welcome.
And then one more thing. Based off of a dream I had, or encounter with these beings, they're humanoid, shape-shifting, piercing green eyes. Does that sound familiar to you?
Can't help you there.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good day. I'm here with my mother and...
Hi, Mom.
Oh, she has a crush on you too!
I am starting to feel flatter and flatter.
Please don't. So, I have always felt in my heart that I have a big mission to help humanity, to help...
How are you doing that?
Okay, so I'm a trauma-informed breathwork facilitator, and I do mindset coaching.
All right.
But
is that representative of your passion, yes or no?
Yes.
Then why is there a but?
Because I feel like I'm not seeing any results in my physical reality, really.
What kind of results are you expecting to see?
Monetary compensation?
Ah, that old thing.
Yeah.
Are you allowing yourself to act on your passion for its own sake instead of what you think your passion will get you?
Yes, because I find I am in my most joy when I am of service, when I am teaching and
when
sharing.
you are doing that, does the flow bring you what you need to continue? Or are you closing the doors through which other forms of abundance could come other than or in addition to money, which we understand is one of the symbols you have of exchange and abundance on your planet, but it's not the only one. And if you focus on that being the only thing that will allow you to move forward, then you are not allowing the other forms of abundance to come to you as easily as they could to join that symbol. Because sometimes it might require a little bit of money. Sometimes someone might give you a gift. Sometimes you might have something to trade. Sometimes synchronicity will bring you something. Sometimes your imagination will think of something to do in a different way that would make it unnecessary for you to need as much money or something else that you thought you needed. Communication is a form of abundance, and you could say something that will change everything and turn it around to make it easy for you to move forward on your passion. So you have to allow all the forms of abundance to be equal to one another and work together to give you the 100% abundance that you need to continue to move forward on your passion. So are you doing that or not?
I feel like I am.
Then there's no but.
Okay.
Because why are you focused on the idea of money? I'm just repeating what you said to us.
Right. Because I feel like I need more of it because I love giving it and sharing it. I give so much of what I have. And
do you give too much?
Perhaps.
Why do you give too much?
Because I'm so empathetic and...
You are so pathetic?
Empathetic. I empathize with people who are in need.
Empathizing with people doesn't mean you sacrifice yourself. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because if you sacrifice yourself, then you're not there to help others. Do you understand?
Yes.
Being yourself is how you help others, but you have to love yourself equally and cherish yourself equally and give yourself what you need to be the whole person that can then help others by giving them your gifts. But you don't overgive, you don't sacrifice, otherwise you whittle yourself away and then there's nothing left of you to give. And then everyone else is deprived of your gifts. There has to be a balance. There has to be a fair exchange. Yes?
Yes. How can I connect higher to my higher self?
You do remember the formula, right?
I do. It's following my joy.
That's your answer.
Yes, okay.
Understand all the points precisely, and you will have your answer.
Thank you so much. I love you.
We just have time for one more quick question.
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I was wondering a deeper pursuit of your idea of the formula. And
a deeper pursuit?
Yes, I thought...
of something that is complete?
Yes. Would you consider an idea...
So you want it to be more complete?
Perhaps.
Or do you mean you just need a clearer explanation of some of the principles?
From your point of view, would be most valuable and cherished. My idea...
Is there something specific
Yes.
about the formula that you would like us to illuminate?
Yes, I have an idea about it. Inspired action in appreciation always, in all ways.
Yes, yes.
Yes. What are your thoughts?
Well, yes, you have to act from the idea of appreciation and gratitude for what you have. That's what prayer is. It's a present state of appreciation for what you have, what you are. It's not asking for something else. So it's a state of grace. It's a state of gratitude, a state of appreciation. So as you are in service to others by acting on your passion, you are in a state of appreciation. And then that's part of the vibration of your passion. Does that illuminate it, or is there something else you wanted to discuss? You are welcome.
We were going to talk about self-worth, but we're not sure we're worthy enough to talk about that. So you see what happens when you are in that state of being, of feeling that you lack self-worth. You deprive others of what you have to give. You're not giving the gifts that you were meant to give in your world, that others are waiting to receive from you. As we have said many times, if there is something that excites you, something that you have to give, some way of expressing your true self, there will always be someone waiting to receive that from you. And by feeling or believing that you are not worthy, not deserving of acting on your passion, you are actually holding back those things that others are waiting to receive, that they may need in their lives. Each and every one of you has something to give, has something of benefit, of service to others, that is simply representative of nothing more complicated than being your true self and expressing that truth in whatever way, shape, or form excites you the most, is most representative of your peace, your balance, your passion, your joy. Holding back on that also then allows you to feel diminished, devalued. The idea, of course, of believing that you are unworthy, as we have said from time to time, is proven to be false by the fact of your existence. For again, creation does not make mistakes, and if you were truly unworthy, you would not exist. So if you exist, which you do, or you wouldn't be hearing this, then creation must need you to. You must be that important, or all that is couldn't be all that it is, or all that it could be without you. So you are worthy on the most basic level by the fact of your existence itself. And any time that you buy into the idea that you are not worthy of your life, not worthy to be who you truly are, who you know yourself to be, who you prefer to be, not worthy, not deserving to live your dreams, then you are engaging, as we have said, in an argument with creation that you will never win, because you will never cease to exist. That is simply not possible. Existence is your basic quality, to be. And therefore, that basic worthiness, if you can understand that from that level, can begin to filter into the rest of your life and all the expressions of your true self that are reflective of your natural existence, of who you are as the unique individual you have been created to be. But if you buy into the idea of lack of self-worth, there are many different kinds of symptoms that will happen, many different kinds of expressions that will come from that negative belief about yourself. First and foremost, of course, the ones that seem most obvious is that you can experience what you call depression, which is again the negative view of what the natural state is, which is simply compression, which means you withdraw into the center of your being where you know the answers lie when you cannot find them outside. That's a natural experience. But if you negate it, if you give it a negative definition, then it becomes the experience of depression, as if something is wrong about going within. If you allow it to be the natural experience of compression, you will simply find the answers you seek. You will then emerge having redefined yourself as a new person. But again, buying into lack of self-worth may allow you to experience this as depression. And of course, people in that state can experience other side effects, not only mentally, emotionally, such as suicidal thoughts, but the idea also of physically causing dis-ease within yourselves, to manifest the idea of how you see yourself, to create a reflection in the outer reality, the physical reality, representation, and symbol of how you see yourself energetically, spiritually. However, the idea is that you will always generally find that most people, even with the idea of lack of self-worth as a belief system, will attempt in some way, shape, or form to validate themselves. The only difference will be that if you actually are holding on to a belief that you lack worth, you will attempt all that validation outwardly instead of inwardly. You will not know how to validate yourself on your own. So you will seek it, if you seek it at all, through the idea of an exterior expression. This kind of insecurity about yourself leads to a polarized expression of the ego. And in fact, those that are the most insecure, the most connected to the concept of lack of self-worth, will express their ego in a very exaggerated way to counterbalance and make up for the fact that they don't actually believe they're worthy. So they will attempt to express worthiness through the aggrandizement and amplification and blowing up of their ego, and express themselves in a very egotistical, very often narcissistic way. This should be the first clue that they really don't have self-value in mind, because they are attempting to create an expression of it, but it's, in a sense, an act. And they don't really believe in what they are saying, in what they are doing, in what they are expressing. They just don't want anyone else to know that they feel worthless. So they will put on a front, and they will seek, many times, again, as a symptom that you can recognize in life, the idea of outside validation over and over and over again, requiring quite often the idea of others to validate them, because they do not spend the time to validate themselves. So they will, in the sense, become very needy. Very often will be one of the strong symptoms, requiring constant validation from those around them, since they will not give it to themselves. This will, of course, create secondary negative effects in any form of relationship that they may find themselves in, because they will always be only relying on others to create the sense of worth that they simply deny themselves. So you can look for these symptoms and understand that it is coming from a place where they do not feel valued and do not know how to give themselves the idea of self-valuation, self-appreciation, to the degree that if they don't get it from others, if they don't, in some sense, insist on it from the outer reflection, they will feel empty, bereft, abandoned. But then another side effect of that, because they will awesomely be in denial of the idea that they are lacking worth, because they don't want to face that, is they will project onto others the idea that they are being abandoned, not being supported, not being valued by others, because they cannot face the fact that they are not valuing themselves, because they believe themselves not to be worthy of value. But they are in denial of the fact that they are doing that to themselves, so they will always project it on others who are not then willing to do it for them. These are symptoms as well of that self-devaluation, that lack of self-worth as a belief. So look for these symptoms and understand with compassion that such people may or may not be willing to receive new tools, new understandings of how they can know that they are valuable, know that they are worthy, know that they belong in creation, and begin to see themselves in a way where they don't require constant reminders from those around them of how valuable they are, constant reassurance from those around them that they are worthy. For that will not be a reflection that can last a long time. For others will sense that it is coming from a place of non-belief in what those people are saying to them. So even when someone might say, yes, you are worthy, yes, you have value, yes, I recognize these things about you, because they are in denial of it within themselves, they may not actually even buy it from other people, though they may act like they do, or act like they really need it, but they may not really still believe it. And thus they create a downward spiral of negativity that acts in many ways like what you would call a black hole in space, sucking up all the light, all the benefit, all the value they are given from others, to the point where others begin to realize that they cannot give them enough value. They cannot, in any way, shape, or form, validate them enough. And therefore, they recognize that since all of that reflection is really just disappearing within that person and never actually being put to use in the sense of strengthening that person's ability to know that they are worthy, know that they are valuable, the outside reflection will eventually usually stop. And it will then thrust the person devaluing themselves into an even deeper downward spiral that can again lead to the concepts of depression, senses of abandonment, suicidal thoughts, and all of those things that go with not being able to support the self, not knowing how to believe what others are telling them, and needing others to do it because they will not do it for themselves. So take note in your lives, in relationships, when individuals are removing the platform from under their own feet, not able in their own minds to really stand, not able to give themselves the valuation that they truly need, constantly asking for recognition for everything that they may do, instead of giving themselves the recognition in a humble way and being of service to others. Allow yourselves more awareness, more conscious perception, and by all means, should you come across individuals devaluing themselves in that way, by all means share with them that they do not have to do so. By all means share with them that there are tools by which, and ideas and beliefs by which they can know that they are valuable, know that they are worthy, but also allow yourselves to recognize that unconditional love is not about continuing to support a vibration that is incompatible with your preference beyond a certain point. The most unconditionally loving thing you can do sometimes is to demonstrate the consequence of another person's choice. And it may not be what they prefer, but it may be what they're telling you needs to happen. Because if you do not give them a reflection of the consequence of what they are choosing for themselves, you give them no opportunity to change, no reason to change. It doesn't mean they will change, but at least give them a reason to. For if they want to remain in a relationship with you, by being given a clear reflection of the consequence of constantly devaluing themselves and constantly needing others to validate them, by showing them that you can no longer do so because it's actually not in their best interests for you to continue to support the negative behavior, you at least give them an opportunity to recognize that they may need to change if they wish to maintain the relationship with the real you and not with who they actually insist that you must be, because that is not being in a relationship with who you really are. So we would always encourage you not to reinforce the negativity, but to let them know there is always an opportunity to know how valuable they are, how worthy they are, and to give themselves what they need. And the irony and the paradox in this is that when a person does, in fact, humbly value themselves, they will often find that others will value them quite often. And they will see the reflections of their self-valuation in your reality and in their reality. So, use the power of the paradox to allow them to know that what they truly need will be given to them, ironically, when they don't need it, in a needy way. Because everyone needs validation. Everyone needs to know they are worthy and deserving. Everyone needs to know that. But the point is to know that by the fact of your existence, you are worthy, you are validated, you are deserving. And when you can stand in that certainty and stand in that awareness and stand in that knowingness, you will get the reflections that you need of that worthiness, of that validity. It will simply be the reflection of the energy you're giving off. Because when you shine, the mirror has something to reflect back. But when, like a black hole, you suck in all the light, there is nothing that can be reflected to you because you're giving nothing off that is representative of that validity, of that worthiness. Does this make sense to you? All right. So, just bear it in mind, keep it in mind, pay attention, let your senses be aware of when you are seeing these symptoms. Do your best to assist, but not at the expense of your own worthiness. For that is never helpful nor loving to anyone.
We would like to begin this transmission this day of your time with the following small story. There was a mighty spaceship with a curious crew exploring the breadth and depth of the cosmos. And as they would then come to a new world in their exploration, a new planet, a new solar system, they would then, with their curiosity, investigate, interact, share, trade, exchange, taking what they needed of that which was freely given to them, giving back that which was what the world might need, what the people on the world might need. And one day, in the midst of such an exchange, the crew was asked by the inhabitants of one of the worlds they were visiting, exactly, tell us, if you would, with this great, majestic ship that you have orbiting our world, tell us, if you would, just exactly how powerful are you? And the captain of the crew said in response to this question, our ship can boil your seas, turn them to steam, level your cities in the wink of an eye, turn your entire population to dust in an instant. Oh, said the inhabitant, that is very powerful. No, said the captain. What gives us our power is that we would never do such a thing. That is how powerful we are. That we have this at our disposal and would never use it that way. That is how powerful we are. So like unto, then, many of the circumstances that rise up on your planet to face you, to challenge you. You have many different tools at your disposal. You have many different ways you can react and respond. You choose at every moment whether to exhibit the idea of power or not. But heed the idea that while in certain circumstances you may, from time to time, think that certain actions are the demonstration of power, make sure you pause and stop and think again so that you understand that the true demonstration of power is awareness, compassion, and the lightest possible touch. Because as we have said many times, that which is the greatest power requires the lightest possible touch to get something done. A great deal of pushing comes from those that feel powerless, that feel they must manipulate and push things into the direction they wish them to go. Those that already know they are part of the infinite. Those that already know there is no power greater than what they are already a part of, need not exercise a demonstration, for they will know that in their allowance, all things will fall into place. And that allowance is the greatest power that can be reflected to anyone else. In all your endeavors, every single one without exception, allow yourself that degree of immaculateness, that degree of precision, that degree of composure and wholeness. And as the channel has recently discussed with some of you, the idea wholly is to step into the void, to step into the nothing freely, willingly, and most importantly, gracefully. For as you dive off of that diving board of familiarity, resistance in the dive will only allow you to hit the water hard. Grace in the dive will allow you to slip through the surface of the water effortlessly. You are all on the edge of the diving board. Now, in this time and place on your planet, the changes that have begun, the changes that are happening now, and the changes that will continue, it is up to you, each and every single individual one of you, as to how you will experience the event of every change. The changes, in and of themselves, do not have to manifest in any particular way. Change will occur. The methodology, the presentment, the effect of how you experience the change is up to whether or not you dive with resistance or dive gracefully. But dive you will. because you have decided to dive. You have placed yourself by choice on the edge of the board. You have invited the unknown into your reality, and it has answered your invitation. Do not fear it. It is what you want. It is what you have asked for. It is what you have prayed for. Do not fear the form in which it comes. It comes in the form it needs to come in. For you to be challenged, for you to grow. Each and every one of you according to your kind, according to your belief, according to your vibration. Embrace the unknown. Embrace the change. Within it, you will find the rest of yourself. We salute you for your courage and your strength and your boldness to have chosen such a challenging world. It only shows you that you are that powerful, that you knew your power would be sufficient to handle the challenges this world presents to you. Know that, behave as if you know that, and you will see and feel and experience your world becoming the world of your dreams as you become the dream of the infinite. As you surrender to yourself, to your true self, and become the dream you were dreamed to be, so too will your world become a reflection of that dream. Let go your expectations and assumptions. Let go your definitions. Let go of who you think you are. Let go of who you think you're supposed to be. Because I will tell you this, in all honesty, you don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you are. And I will tell you this, that is exactly as it should be. When it is all right, when you are comfortable with not knowing who you are, then can you truly be who you are. Then can you truly reveal unto yourself who you really were created to be. But only when you stop thinking you know who you are is this possible. It is all right to not know who you are. Do not fear not knowing who you are. This is part of what it is to leap into the void. For only then, when you have allowed there to be nothing, can there be something. If you hold on to something, then there will always be nothing. If you let go and let it be all right for there to be nothing, and stay centered within your being, stay centered within your joy, not your fear, then you will know where you are is where you need to be. And you will not fear that anything can take you. You will not fear that you must give your power over. You will not fear in any way, shape, or form, even when you fear. You will not fear. Because you will experience the fear in a different way. You will experience it as information. You will experience it as self-awareness. You will experience it as an opportunity to add to the knowledge of yourself. You will experience it as one of the valued events of your life. For you are valued and valuable, and you must value yourself, or nothing you have ever learned from any of us will work. If you do not value who you are, then you do not give yourself the ability to use any tool. The first tool is to be yourself and let it be all right to be who you are, whatever that may be. Then can you change? But remember, change takes place within the nothing. You do not experience the shift itself. You only experience what comes after the shift. You only experience the result of the change. That takes place in a world of space and time. That is the world of experience. The change takes place in timelessness, and so there is no experience of it. Not of the actual change itself, but only of how you have changed. Let yourself go into that timelessness so that you may be free and flexible to change anytime it serves you, anytime it allows you to be more of who you are. And then trust that whatever it is you become, whatever it is you have changed into, on the other side of the change, is who you need to be at that moment. Work with it, live with it, love it. Above all, love who you are at every given moment. For only by loving who you are now can you then become anything else you can become. If you invalidate even one moment of your existence, you make it impossible to become any other moment. For until you give each moment its full value and its full due
into your experience,
then it cannot become the next moment. Because there is only one moment. And what you experience as different moments are the same moment. The same moment. But only from a different point of view. You cannot escape the moment. There is only one. By living in it fully and accepting it completely, you will allow yourself to then see the same moment from another perspective. But only when you have allowed the perspective you now have to be valid for what it is. For it is the stepping stone that leads to the next moment. It is the rung on the ladder that leads to the next rung. And if you do not step on the first one, you will not reach the second one or the third.